Pro Group Management. Workers' comp that works for you.
Welcome to Nevada Newsmakers, mental health and business. Two interesting topics today. Andy's got the rundown.
Sam, first we talk to Senator Randolph Townsend about mental health and politics. And then we speak to representatives from the Reno-Sparks Indian Colony. Arlen Menendez and Chuck Rosenow are here. Sam?
Thanks, Andy. And coming up on the Pundit panel today, we've got Wayne Frediani, we've got Scott Craigie, and the ever-effervescent Dick Gammick. It's all coming up next on the all-new Nevada Newsmakers.
Nevada Newsmakers, brought to you in part by Charter Communication.
The Abowed family has an appetite for dialogue. Agree or disagree, have the conversation. All opinions are welcome. Since 1977, Adele's.
Catch us straight, dine at 8. Lucky you. Lucky you. Dance till 1. Have some fun. Lucky you. Lucky you. Taste the shrimp. Have a sip. Try the pool. Play it cool. At the Sienna Hotel Spa Casino. Lucky you.
The biggest risk your company can take.
Well, Barbara, you did very well on your interview.
Hiring employees can help your business get to the next level.
And your resume looks outstanding.
And it can also expose you to corporate crimes and costly lawsuits that can bring your company to its knees.
So, we'd like to offer you a position.
Before you hire another employee, hire the professionals at Employer Links. Call today to get our free CD-ROM, The Top 8 Risk of Hiring Employees.
If you own a business and want to maximize your company's potential, join the Retail Association of Nevada. Our membership benefits include the Nevada Retail Network Self-Insured Group, providing workers' compensation coverage that can lower your rates. That savings can go directly to your bottom line. We are an effective pro-business organization that lobbies on behalf of our business members. The Retail Association of Nevada, protecting Nevada businesses for 35 years. Call 882-1700 to see what we can do for your organization.
This is Nevada Newsmakers with Sam Shad, political analyst Ande Engleman on No Holds Barred Political Forum. Now, from the News 4 Broadcast Center, here's Sam Shad.
And welcome back to Nevada Newsmakers. We're joined by Senator Randolph Townsend, who chairs Labor and Commerce. It's a pleasure to have you here. Big meeting going on today about mental health in the capital city. What's going to come out of this?
Well, the good news is, as you know, I served for a year on the President's Commission for Mental Health, and we now have a 6-month time frame in which the legislature will attempt to implement components of that plan. And good committee members, North and South, and all active in this arena. And I think the most important thing that can be said is we're now going to kind of share the things that we learned and bring back to the public what we know, which is business community needs to be involved because it directly affects them. Family members need to help consumers with their own recovery plans, that there is recovery. And more importantly, the vast majority of people who suffer from mental illness can become productive members of society, stay in a job for a long term, be productive, churn the economy, pay taxes. But we have to reach out. It's no longer an institutional-based situation. Olmstead, which is the Supreme Court decision, doesn't allow that anyway. So now we think that what will come out of the hearing today will be something that's going to talk specifically about PAC programs. And those are programs that are instituted in a community to make sure that individuals who particularly are on medication or need therapy on a regular basis get it and stay active in the community and are out-based, and it's an outreach program.
Let me ask you this. You know, we use the term mental illness. Can you define that so that people watching really understand perhaps a little bit more than that? Because it's such a broad area.
It's been one of the great challenges, but most mental illness is biologically based, and it's a brain disorder.
It's an actual disease.
It's an actual disease. And in the President's proclamation to create the commission, it talks about a disease, and it shouldn't be treated any differently than a broken leg or someone who has cancer. And as a result, I think the focus now is a completely different point of view, that it can be treated. Recovery is the ultimate goal. It can be consumer driven, and it can be an outpatient basis where people actually participate and continue to be active in the community. And that's good for them, it's good for the economy, it's good for their neighbors, it's good for everybody. So there's an opportunity to win here real well. But it is a true disease, biologically based brain disorder that's very, very serious, but is treatable, and recovery is possible.
Why is there so little public sympathy, do you think, for the mentally ill?
I think over time it's been spun by Hollywood to be something that, people win awards for portraying someone who had mental illness or mental retardation. And I also think there's a certain scare factor to it, that someone might become violent, and that's extremely rare, and most of that is as a result of a lack of medication. And psychotropic drugs have become very, very prevalent. They're new, they're less toxic than the previous ones, so people don't have the fear they used to have about being drugged and then having all of these side effects. That's a real step forward that's occurred over the last 5 years in this country, and there's a real exciting time coming for us.
Does it concern you when young children, 10 years of age and younger, being given drugs like Zoloft?
Absolutely. The fact that when you speak to a teacher, and that's the real, rubber meets the road kind of existence, where a teacher actually sees a student every day. To have someone who is hyperactive or who has some kind of mental challenge from their mental health perspective is going to be drugged down, and where they're just going to sit there and not participate in activities, not learn. That's a real tragedy. I think that whole segment with which we dealt in the President's Commission is probably the most tragic and the most sensitive and the most complex of all the segments of the population with which we deal. That's not fair to teachers, not fair to parents, and it's certainly not fair to children.
We're running out of time, and I want to get a political question. Senator Dina Titus has said she's going to be bringing a bill in the next session of the legislature to prohibit public employees from double dipping or getting paid by both their public governments while they're at the legislature. She's also including on that members of boards of directors of banks, which sounds unconstitutional to me, but will you be able to support all or a portion of that legislation?
Absolutely. This situation, which is so tragic, should never have occurred, is very simple. If you're a public employee in any way, shape, or form, you simply take a leave. Senator Titus takes a leave, always has. Senator Rawson, who teaches at the community college, has, and that's what everybody should do. That's what Ms. Leslie did, was take a leave from the court, although when we got called back to special session, she went back to work. But I think that's the right thing to do. There shouldn't be any perception of impropriety, if nothing else, and that can be done.
This is the quickest answer I need you to give me here, but are we going to come to some point here where we have to increase the salaries that legislators get so that they can afford to actually spend time legislating on our behalf?
Absolutely. And I proposed at one time to put in a salary increase for people who follow us. Not so that we could ever get it, whether we're re-elected, but the next generation, whoever follows us, should get that increase, because you're narrowing it down to too many people.
And it didn't fly.
Well, but maybe it needs to after all this discussion. We'll be right back on Nevada Newsmakers after this.
Hi, I'm Dan.
And I'm Terry.
And this is Dan's Pizza and Parlor. Everything we make here is from scratch. Our fresh cut fries, homemade hamburgers made to order, fresh pizza dough made with 3 types of flour, and Terry's secret pizza sauce, and Dreyer's world-famous ice cream. And if you have a sports team, your kids can really have a great time here. Oh! Dan's Pizza and Parlor on Victorian Avenue, just down the street from Great Basin Brewery next to Pyramid Highway.
Would you like to savor a Trento pork chop? Or maybe pasta rags with grilled chicken? Hugo's Tuscan Grill at D'Andrea is a celebration of color, flavor, and freshness. Each dish is created from natural, wholesome foods that is delicious and nutritious. Hugo's is a comfortable restaurant with breathtaking city views. If you enjoy great food and good company, visit us here at Hugo's. It's the best that dining can be. 2900 South D'Andrea Parkway in Sparks.
Welcome to Sushi Club, best sushi in town. The Sushi Club in Independence Square uses the best quality products. The sushi is dynamite, and the service is just wonderful.
The Sushi Club is bigger and better. We have 11 sushi chefs on staff, and the service is great.
All your friends will tell you that Sushi Club is the best place for the best sushi.
Come join us for lunch or dinner.
The Sushi Club, 294 East Moana Lane in the Independence Square.
Now that's great sushi.
To experience the royal cuisine of India, you need some serious magic or simply transport yourself to India Garden, right here in Reno, where you'll discover Indian specialties refined over centuries. Sikh kebab, tandoori dishes cooked in our own tandoor oven, biryani specialties, curries, fresh-baked Indian bread, over a dozen vegetarian dishes, even dishes rare to India like dosa, South Indian-style crepes. India Garden off South Virginia near Sports West. We are India.
And now, back to Nevada Newsmakers with Sam Shad and Ande Engleman.
Back on Nevada Newsmakers, we're joined by Arlen Menendez, who is the Reno-Sparks Indian Colony Tribal Chairman, and Chuck Rosenow, Economic Development Director for the tribe. Welcome to both of you, if I can get the words out here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Arlen, let's start with you. There has been a lot of controversy over the last couple of weeks about a proposed site that you all own and put together. And Mercedes is moving into the state that hasn't been here before. And then there's talk about this possibly becoming an auto mall with other car dealers relocating from tax land over to the Indian area.
Right. First of all, thank you for inviting us onto the show today. First of all, I want to just, first of all, tell you who we are. First, we're the Reno-Sparks Indian Colony. We're a federally recognized Indian tribe of about 1,100 members. We reside in downtown Reno in about 28 acres, and we're also out in Hungry Valley, 20 miles to the north. We have about 450 people that live there. And as you know, we are a tribal government, first of all. We have the same needs as the city and county and state government, so we have a tremendous challenge to try to provide for the needs of the people. And as you know, as I mentioned earlier, we acquired the original 2 acres on South Virginia, I believe in about 1989 or so. And part of that was part of a land exchange that was initiated when the tribe acquired Hungry Valley. As you know, there's 1,960 acres where most of our growth is out in Hungry Valley. I believe in 1985, Barbara Vakanovich, one of our longtime Congresswomen, actually assisted us in passing legislation to gain Hungry Valley. As you know, in those years, the tribe actually owned 160 acres out in the Stead area. But because of the Reno air races being in the vicinity, we were encouraged to try to find a new location. And so that's how Hungry Valley came into being. In that same land exchange, we were looking for to further economic development. We had one smoke shop at that time, and we were looking to expand market share. So we actually purchased 2 acres in South Reno, and that's where the land base is today, what we're talking about, retail development.
2 acres?
Yes.
And
but now I think it's 12.
And we actually acquired 6 acres at a later date, and then 6 acres. They were actually, I believe, alfalfa agricultural field. And for many years, I believe this the status of this parcel actually was deferred agriculture. So there really wasn't any tax going to.
The bottom line is we're talking about 14 acres at this point?
Yes, 14 acres. And I know that there had been mentioned 65 acres, and there was a lot of misinformation going out. So we are here today to hopefully clarify some of the things that are being said.
Okay, well, one of the things I'd like to clarify is that just because you are absolved of certain taxes that you would pay, and those the taxes are still charged, but they are retained by the tribe.
Right.
But isn't it correct, though, that the tribe, because of the fact that there are only limited amounts of services on Indian land, have to spend most of their money in regular businesses. So there is a trickle down through sales taxes and other taxes through the community. Wouldn't that be correct to say?
Well, you know, again, the challenges that we have of providing essential government services, we are in the process of trying to provide health care. We don't just service our own tribal members. We have to service through health care probably nearly 10,000 Indian people from every tribe that live in the metro area. So we have this, we're trying to build a new 50,000 square foot facility, which basically the only way we can do that is the same as city or county governments. We have to have a tax base, try to issue some type of bonds.
If you don't get that money, where does that money come from?
Well,
who would you apply to?
It would be a number of ways to try to do this. Nobody's been real successful. If you look at the tribes across the state of Nevada, their economies, there's practically no economies on most of the 27 reservations statewide, all the way from here to Elko to Battle Mountain. They're lucky to get one store or a smoke shop on Main Street. What we're talking about here is a fairness in participating in the American dream of trying to have viable economies. What we're trying to tell people is that when Indian tribes and the reservations are strong, the state economy is strong. There's a trickle-down effect even in this Mercedes dealership. We created 40 new jobs. Those probably won't be reservation tribal jobs. I would venture to say that the majority of those jobs will probably be people from just a public sector that are going to hold these jobs. We also have certain amount of taxes that do spring off of this Mercedes dealership, the VAT tax. I believe Chuck knows some of the other taxes that are going to help the state gain tax in this venture out there.
Okay, I don't mean to interrupt, but now isn't part of your goal, though, to move some car dealers over onto this land that presently operate elsewhere in Washoe County?
Well, first of all, let's talk about Mercedes.
We
have 30 seconds. We have a plan to develop this parcel for retail. And of course, the Mercedes dealership, you would look on this as an anchor tenant. And it is a nice quality retail business to drive the rest of the development on this parcel.
But car dealers like to be near each other.
Well, there's no secret that that's a secret of success to Keesky Lane or anywhere else. So
yes or no, you'd like to see more car dealers on that area.
We'd like to see retail development, and if they are car dealers, we'd like to see car dealers, and so.
That's fine.
All right.
Just going for an answer.
We'd love to have you guys come back.
Yeah, we need you to
more,
come back.
You know, to elaborate on these discussions. I think that so far this has been a pretty one-sided discussion. We're glad to have you here to have the other side. Okay. We'll be back on Nevada Newsmakers after this timeout.
Before you head to Carson, take care of yourself with a visit to Tamarack Junction. Catch a hot cup of coffee and the morning news on one of our 32 TVs and enjoy the best food in South Reno. Tamarack Junction, your junction for fun. South Virginia and Amati Ranch Parkway.
The Abowd family has an appetite for dialogue. Agree or disagree, have the conversation. All opinions are welcome. Since 1977, Adele's.
Today's lesson, another reason to take the Gold Rush Club Card Challenge. With the Gold Rush card, you really have 3 cards in one. Use your cash back. You still keep your comps and drawing tickets. Use your comps. You still keep your cash and drawing tickets. And with your drawing tickets, you could win thousands in cold hard cash every week. And still keep your cash back and comps. Does your club add up? Graduate to the Gold Rush Players Club. It's the smart thing to do. The Gold Dust West, south on Keystone, east on 4th.
When you sign up for Wells Fargo free checking, you get more than free checking. You get the freedom to bank when and where you want. Wells Fargo, the next stage.
Make your daily commute easy with breakfast or lunch at the Tamarack Junction. Enjoy daily specials, super fast service, and South Reno's freshest morning meals. Tamarack Junction, your junction for fun. South Virginia and Amati Ranch Parkway.
And now, back to Nevada Newsmakers with Sam Shad and Ande Engleman.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we join our pundit panel today, and we're joined by Scott Craigie. He's the president of Alrus Consulting, Wayne Frediani, executive director of the Nevada Car Dealers Association, and Washoe County District Attorney Dick Gammick. Wayne, let's start out with you. The Mercedes dealership has been gone from this valley for the last 18 months. This is a new business coming in. It's creating new jobs. You see a problem with this?
Sam, no, not really. We welcome the Mercedes franchise back. There was an existing franchise here, and it has been gone for 18 months. And the dealer that is coming back into the community will provide, a good service point for existing dealers. Existing customers as well as jobs. So the auto industry is welcoming back the Mercedes franchise.
All right, why do car dealers like to be near each other? You see other car dealers moving over into this area?
I don't know that there'd be a lot of car dealers moving over. This dealer actually had looked for land on Kitski Lane and wanted to be on Kitski Lane, which is basically, as you well know, car row, but couldn't find anything that he could build on. There's been some talk and that there might be additional dealerships on this land, but specifically Highline luxury cars that would complement the Mercedes franchise. Whether that comes to be, I don't know at this point.
So Lamborghinis, Maseratis, that kind of...
Lotus?
Highline luxury cars.
Yeah. Okay, Dick, when you look at it from a county perspective, what's the potential loss of money we don't actually have right now, but would be potentially available if this wasn't on tribal land?
Well, there was a good point made last week when the criticism was being made that this is costing the county revenue, is that the Mercedes dealership wasn't here because the franchise had been lost. We brought them in, so it's not costing anything. I think the concern is if we start a migration from existing businesses to start going on to tribal lands because they're exempt from the taxes, that we're going to see a tremendous loss in revenues, both state and county level. I think that's the concern. But then I look at what's the incentive for somebody that has a business going, they've bought and paid for it, or they're paying for it, to make the move because they're going to wind up paying money anyway. It's just going to be the tribal council instead of to the county.
Scott, I look at this situation and I think to myself, it's kind of interesting. We want the Native Americans to be self-sufficient, but when they find ways to become self-sufficient, there are some people that get a little upset about it.
Well, and this is a really tough situation. Actually, Arlen did a good job giving background on the tribe and where they are. He didn't make the case that he probably needs to make and that we all need to understand. We talked about a special session last time we talked about this. Now we find that this whole arrangement that they've put together is based on a 1989 law that basically sets up a structure that the State Department of Taxation is to then create regulations and agreements out of, and they've done that. And what Arlen and his tribe have done is they've gone within that system, as set up and approved, pre-approved actually, and they've spent some years putting together a package both of land and a marketing strategy here, and they're executing that in a very methodical manner. Now, we understand now that a special session is probably a dead issue, and with the information that we have now, it probably would not have been a functional answer anyway. But this is a very tough policy puzzle, because you have a situation where the legislature and the state administration, that is the Department of Taxation, has set up the rules and they're playing by the rules.
Yeah, darn them anyway. Well, they're playing by the rules been established. And I think that brings us back to a point that needs to be made here is I think the legislature and the Congress are both going to have to revisit this area now. You're seeing a tremendous upsurgence in the American Indians throughout the nation on getting into business and doing things, but they're still drawing a lot of federally subsidized funds. They still have a lot of tax breaks. They still have a lot of things that makes the competition totally unbalanced.
But
it has to be looked at.
But I also look at this and say that the tribes that are getting all the glamorous reports are the ones that have casinos, particularly as we see in California and back in Connecticut, that are making lots of money. But there are plenty of tribes that are not making lots of money.
One of the things that's really important, and I think that on the show here, maybe we all need to think about and bring on, there's got to be a person who can articulate the other side of this argument, who is maybe more aware of what the rules are inside the Department of Tax, et cetera. there needs to be a thrashing out of this issue, whether it's over this particular car dealership coming in here or not, or it starts the debate headed toward the long term for the next legislative session. Wayne's guys too. I mean, your guys have got to be looking at this going,
right? And I want to point out that this is not an issue of the auto industry versus tribal government. This is strictly a state taxation policy issue, and I think it needs to be looked at by the legislature at the state level. It maybe needs to be looked at the federal level. This is not the only state in the union that's had this issue come up. It's happened in Oklahoma, Mississippi, and other jurisdictions across the country.
Okay, you wanted to clarify something here. It's not double dipping. It's
different subject, yes. Okay. Yes, we're not talking double dipping. We got 1 minute left. We're not talking double dipping. We're talking separation of powers here. The executive branch and the legislative branch and the judicial branches are not supposed to be combined. They're supposed to act as checks and balances on each other. When you have public employees from the executive branch hold a lot of power in the legislative branch, you get mush. Okay? You don't have your checks and balances.
Well, and when you have public employees who come from city governments or school districts or the university system, you have some inherent conflicts. And when you have people that come from the medical community and the legal community, you have some inherent conflicts. And you
different subject than separation of powers.
I agree, but it's not just the separation of powers. The issue here, as I see it, is multi-level. Double dipping is when you're collecting money twice, whether it's public sector or private sector. That's a serious problem. If you are doing an illegal activity, then that's a much more serious.
And that's where we got to leave it. We'll come back to this topic. We'll be back on Nevada Newsmakers after this.
Big Apple Pizza, best pizza in Nevada. Take what?
Today we're here, we're making homemade meatballs for a meatball parm. You like cheesesteak? I think you're like in South Philly right now. It's the best cheese ever made. Now that's how a Philly cheesesteak's supposed to look.
And here's little Cole.
This is authentic. We'll throw some pepperoni in here. Not gonna be shy about it. I bet you guys didn't know I could do that. Don't skimp on the toppings. Authentic as it gets. Big Apple Pizza and Subs on the corner of Bering and McCarran. A New Jersey guy who knows how to make an East Coast pizza.
Would you like to savor a Trento pork chop? Or maybe pasta rags with grilled chicken? Hugo's Tuscan Grill at D'Andrea is a celebration of color, flavor, and freshness. Each dish is created from natural, wholesome foods that is delicious and nutritious. Hugo's is a comfortable restaurant with breathtaking city views. If you enjoy great food and good company, visit us here at Hugo's. It's the best that dining can be. 2900 South D'Andrea Parkway in Sparks.
Hi, I'm Dan.
And I'm Terry.
And this is Dan's Pizza and Parlor. Everything we make here is from scratch. Our fresh cut fries, homemade hamburgers made to order, fresh pizza dough made with 3 types of flour, and Terry's secret pizza sauce, and Dreyer's world-famous ice cream. And if you have a sports team, your kids can really have a great time here. Oh! Dan's Pizza and Parlor on Victorian Avenue, just down the street from Great Basin Brewery next to Pyramid Highway.
Nevada Newsmakers, brought to you in part by Charter Communication.
So what's coming up tomorrow?
We got Tim Nalen and Glenn Carano on boxing.
Like that'll be different from any other show. We'll see you.